March 12th, 2023. That's the day they locked me out of my own land. This wasn't here when I bought this ranch 15 years ago. But that morning, I came out to check on my cattle, and there it was, 6 feet of iron fencing, cutting straight across my access road. No warning. No discussion. Just a lock with somebody else's name on it. I'm Jesse Ray. Retired firefighter. 4th-generation Texan. And until that day, I thought I understood what it meant to own property. Turns out, the HOA next door didn't care about deeds or boundaries. They wanted control, and they'd do anything to get it. This isn't a story about a feud with a neighbor. This is about a system that's broken. A group of strangers, hiding behind bylaws and lawyers, decided they could steal my livelihood because they had the keys, until I decided to take those keys back. They thought I'd back down. They thought I'd sell. But I've spent my life running into burning buildings. You think a bunch of paperwork scares me? This is how you fight back. You know, I didn't grow up dreaming of HOA drama. I grew up right here in Texas, where land means something. My daddy always said, "Son, a man's word and a man's land, those are sacred." I took that to heart. Spent over 30 years as a firefighter, running into burning buildings, saving what other folks thought was lost. When I retired, I didn't want a trophy or a gold watch. I wanted peace. I wanted this ranch. This land's been in my family for generations. My granddad broke this ground with his bare hands. My mama raised chickens out here. I learned to ride before I could walk straight. Every fence post, every patch of bluebonnets, every scar on these hands, I earned him. Jesse. For me, this ranch isn't just property. It's freedom. It's hard work. It's Sunday mornings with coffee on the porch, watching the sun climb up over the hills. It's peace, the kind you can't buy, the kind you have to fight for sometimes. Then, about 2 years back, the world started changing. Developers bought the land next door. Suddenly, where there used to be pasture, there's a whole neighborhood, cookie-cutter houses, manicured lawns, and a brand new homeowners association. The kind that likes everything just so. The kind that sends out newsletters about fence colors and grass height. First, it was letters. "Dear Mr. Ray, your barn is visible from the street. Please paint it beige." I laughed. My barn's been red since before most of those folks were born. Then it was, "Your cattle are too close to the property line." I thought, well, maybe they just want to be neighborly. So I called him up and tried to talk it out. But every time I tried to meet him halfway, they pushed a little harder. Next thing I know, I'm getting demands to move my fence, trim my trees, even stop my grandson from riding his dirt bike on our own land. And every time I pointed out that their rules didn't apply to me, well, you'd think I'd insulted their grandma. I did my homework. Checked every record, every deed. My land was never part of their HOA. I wasn't about to let a bunch of strangers tell me how to live on my own property. I figured, let them send their letters. I'll hang him in the outhouse for all I care. But then, things got serious. One morning, I come out and there it is, a 6-foot iron fence, right across my only access road. A gate, locked tight, and the only key in the hands of the HOA. My own driveway, blocked. My cattle, my family, me, we're cut off from the world. No warning. No courtesy call. Just a cold, metal message, "You're not welcome." I can't even describe the feeling. Shock, sure. But mostly anger. This wasn't just about a fence. This was about someone thinking they could take what wasn't theirs. About power, plain and simple. I wasn't the only one. Turns out, HOAs like this one have been pushing folks around all over the country. You hear stories, people fined for the color of their curtains, for planting the wrong flowers. Sometimes, it's just petty. But sometimes, it's worse, fraud, favoritism, even outright theft. And the worst part? Hardly anyone's watching. Most folks just want to get along, keep their heads down. That's how these boards get away with it. You'd think there'd be rules. And there are, on paper. Texas law says HOAs have to play fair, keep records, follow the rules. 6. But in the real world, if you've got a board that wants to push its luck, and neighbors who don't want trouble, well, you get fences like this one. That's when I knew this wasn't just about me. This was about every person who's ever been bullied by a board, every neighbor who's been told to just go along, every family who's lost sleep over a letter in the mailbox. I wasn't about to let them win. Not here. Not on my land. I mean, come on. I've run into burning buildings for a living. You think a padlock is gonna stop me? You'd think a fence was the end of it. But the fence? That was just the opening move. The Pinebrook Meadows HOA wasn't satisfied with blocking my road. They wanted my entire ranch under their thumb. And they had a playbook for it. Turns out, while I was away taking care of Mama, the HOA had quietly bought a 5x5 strip of land right at my gate. Just enough to plant their fence and claim the only legal access to my ranch. I couldn't even step up to the gate without trespassing on their land. They'd found a loophole, and they were loving it. But they didn't stop there. Next came the paperwork. They filed to reclassify my ranch as internal green space, basically trying to turn my land into their private park, subject to every HOA rule in the book. Fines for unapproved livestock, unauthorized structures, even sunlight reflection off your barn. I wish I was making that up. They sent legal notices, threatened me with fines, $17,000 worth, apparently. They even hinted at foreclosure. All for rules that never applied to me in the first place. The neighborhood? Split right down the middle. Some folks thought I should just give in, move on. Others whispered support, but you could see the fear in their eyes. Nobody wanted to be the next target. I wasn't about to roll over. First thing I did was call in every favor I had. My buddy Darnell, a real estate agent I once saved from a barn fire, started digging into land records. Travis pored over every plat, every easement, every HOA bylaw he could get his hands on. And that's when we struck gold. The guy who'd sold the HOA that little strip? He owned another one, right behind it, connecting to the road. I bought it that day, wired the money before lunch. Suddenly, the only road to the HOA's fancy gate ran through my land. And the kicker? Their maintenance shed, with the only gate key, sat on my property now. I didn't say a word. Not yet. You should have seen Donald's face when I handed him a copy of my deed. You built your gate on my land, I said. And this strip here? That's mine too. I dangled the key in front of him, slipped it in my pocket, and walked right through the gate. Never seen a man chew air like that. I kept records of everything. Every threat, every forged permit, every time they tried to intimidate me. And when the HOA started paving a new road across my land without permission, I called the sheriff, the county, and every local reporter I could find. I wanted the world to see what was happening. We filed suit for breach of property rights, violation of governing documents, and tortious interference. The HOA fired back with countersuits, claimed I was harassing them, that I was the problem. They tried to paint me as a troublemaker, a danger to the community. I'll admit, it wore me down. The isolation, the stress, the constant worry that I'd come home to find something else destroyed or another letter threatening foreclosure. They tried everything. Cut my power lines, slashed my tires, sent anonymous threats. I wasn't scared. I was angry. And I was ready. The day before court, I marched right up to their headquarters. Turns out, it was built on one of those forgotten slivers I now owned, and posted my own eviction notice. Donald came running, suit and all, yelling, "You can't do this." I just kept walking. The internet loved it. Donations poured in. But the court was the real battlefield. The judge didn't waste time. Travis laid out everything, the fence, the forged documents, the threats, the fake foreclosure. And then, the bombshell, the HOA's own lawyer handed us a flash drive the night before. It was full of emails and memos, plans to harass and seize my land. When the judge saw it, she slammed her gavel and said, "I've seen shady, but this is organized corruption." The judge ruled in my favor on every count. Fined Pinebrook Meadows $500,000, ordered a full investigation, and within hours, the entire board was escorted from their office in handcuffs. But I wasn't done. The next morning, I started building something bold, a rodeo arena, right behind their neighborhood. They wanted to control my land. Now, every Saturday night, the sound of laughter and music echoes across Pinebrook Meadows. That's the sound of freedom. When the judge's gavel came down, it was more than a legal victory. It was a declaration: you can't bully a man off his own land, not in Texas, not anywhere. The court ordered the HOA to tear down that iron gate, restore my access, and pay for every bit of damage they'd caused. They were fined so hard, the board members looked like they'd swallowed a cactus. First thing I did was drive my old Dodge through that open gate, honking the horn like I'd just won the lottery. My grandkids cheered from the truck bed. I may have done a little victory dance. No one needs to see that footage. But I wasn't done. With the fines piling up and the board in shambles, the HOA was on the ropes. I made them an offer: buy out their remaining assets and take over the association myself. They couldn't say yes fast enough. I called a meeting, first real one in years. Told everyone straight, we can keep living under these rules, or we can take our neighborhood back. Folks started murmuring, then clapping. We took a vote, and just like that, the HOA was dissolved. No more fines for wildflowers, no more threats over fence colors. Just neighbors, free to live and let live. I'll be honest, it wasn't easy. The legal bills, the sleepless nights, the strain on my family. There were times I wondered if it was worth it. But every time I saw that fence, every time I read another threat, I remembered what my daddy taught me: don't let anyone take what's yours, especially not your peace. Jesse stood up when nobody else would. He made us all a little braver. Neighbor 2, tearful. We were afraid to speak out. Jesse showed us we didn't have to be. Cases like Jesse's are more common than you'd think. HOAs can be a force for good, but without oversight, they can turn into little kingdoms. Jesse's story is a reminder: always read your deeds, document everything, and don't be afraid to fight for your rights. If I learned anything, it's that persistence matters. So does the community. When folks come together, even the biggest bully can't stand for long. I took the land they tried to steal and turned it into something for everyone. Now, every Saturday night, you can hear laughter and music where there used to be shouting and threats. That's what victory sounds like. This story isn't just about me. It's about anyone who's ever been pushed around by a board, a boss, or a bully. Stand your ground. Know your rights. And never, ever let your peace be fenced in. If you've stuck with me this far, I want to thank you. This wasn't just a fight about a fence or a gate. This was about something bigger, about standing up for what's right, even when it feels like the whole world is lined up against you. I know there are folks out there, maybe you're one of them, who feel trapped by rules you never agreed to, by neighbors who forgot what it means to be neighborly. You're not alone. Here's what I learned, and what I hope you take away from my story. First, know your rights. Read your deeds, your bylaws, your contracts. Don't just trust that someone else has your best interests at heart. If you own land, if you own a home, you have power. Don't let anyone convince you otherwise. Second, document everything. Every letter, every conversation, every time someone tries to push you around. Keep records, take photos, save emails. When the time comes to stand up, you'll be glad you did. Third, don't be afraid to ask for help. I wouldn't have made it without my friends, my family, my lawyer Travis, and the good folks who rallied around me. Find your people. Stand together. There's strength in numbers. If you're facing an HOA that's overstepping, don't just grumble about it, do something. Join a local group. Start a petition. Talk to your county officials. There are advocacy groups out there fighting for HOA reform, for transparency, for fair treatment. Get involved. Your voice matters. Homeowners associations can serve a purpose, but without oversight, they can become unaccountable. The more people who know their rights and stand up together, the less likely abuses are to happen. Education and community are your best defenses. I never set out to be a hero. I just wanted to protect what was mine, and maybe show a few folks that you don't have to back down from a bully. If you're facing an unjust system, don't give up. Stand your ground, know your rights, and remember, you're not alone. This land, this life, this freedom, they're worth fighting for. And if my story helps just one person find the courage to stand up, well, that's worth more than any fence or gate. Thank you for listening. Take care of each other. And remember, sometimes, the best way to protect your home is to open your gate and invite your neighbors in.